Hello ladies and gentlemen and all the core gamers out there, CAJ-Man 777 here wearing that very stylish Community Tips Gumchi shirt, here to bring you yet another weapon guide that will surely teach you something new about a weapon class that you may have never tried in Ninjala. As per usual, you guys know that this is a series by now, so this is installment number 4 of my weapon guide series, and if it wasn't clear enough from the intro, which, by the way, thank you, Gigi, for letting me use that, because I think that is absolutely hilarious. Today, we're going to be talking about the Sultan of Swing, the Breaker of Hopes, Dreams, and, of course, your weapon, the Break Hammers. So, of course, if you're enjoying these Ninjala weapon guides and you want to see more of them, do me a huge favor and hit that like button while also hitting the subscribe button at the exact same time. Now, with that out of the way, let's jump right in and talk about the kits of the Break Hammers. Alright, so you guys know the drill by now anyways. This, of course, will be an in-depth discussion regarding everything the SK8 Hammer and its sub-kit, the Sushi Axe, have to offer. I'll also be showing off some combos you can pull off with these weapons, and of course, along with that, talking about the weapon's abilities, specials, etc. As per usual, some of the information may be the same compared to a previous guide video, but I will quickly be skimming over that as per usual. So let's talk about, start, I should say, by talking about the first kit, the SK8 Hammer, which, of course, you can see right here. Mine is green. Green is the best color. Don't at me. Right, well, where the heck do I actually even begin with this weapon? I mean, really. I feel like the SK8 Hammer can literally do absolutely everything. It's got damage, it's got droning ability, and it's got an instant Ippon ultimate. Everything. There's really nothing that this hammer can't do, well, except for, well, move fast. Yeah, I kind of guess that's a good starting point. You see, as per usual, all weapons in Ninjala have varying stats depending on the type of weapon. A trick ball, for example, are glass cannons, able to dish out tons of damage quickly while having the lowest health amount in the game, while skateboards are a mobile speed machine that allows for consistent damage output. These stats, of course, can be found under the parameters section of a weapon's individual details by simply looking at the weapon you want to check out and hitting the plus button, of course, on your controller. Break hammers, as per every other weapon in the game, are no exception to this rule, and if we take a look at the weapon's parameters here, you can see at the bottom of the screen, you have 330 health along with 95 movement speed. As a baseline, please do remember that 300 health and 100 movement speed is standard and can be mainly found on standard weapons such as katana and drill. So as a hammer, it's very clear that you are actually a bit more tanky at the cost of your overall move speed. Sounds pretty solid for a heavy weapon type, right? Well, it gets even better as we take a look at the weapon's gum kit and, of course, special abilities. Starting off immediately with the gum kit, we see something very familiar to us, Gum Net. Gum Net, as stated in an earlier guide, is a wide-spreading distance projectile that flies a certain distance before spawning into a massive net to entrap opponents. Like all gum shots in the game, the net size is determined by how long a player holds the gum shot charge, and of course by how much S energy they have. The S energy, of course, is mainly specific for a big size net, and Gum Net, as the last time I talked about it, it's a great tool to keep players off of you, and often allows you to stay safe inside the net because players don't want to take gum damage trying to knock you out of the net. It's also very effective at pulling off some very extremely I should say it's very effective at pulling off bind combos as well, but we'll be talking about that, of course, in the combos section of the video. To go along with Gum Net, though, we have, of course, the slightly nerfed Gum Ninjutsu, the Tenshi Muyo. Tenshi Muyo, much like the Gum Net, throws out a net to entrap opponents before finishing them off. However, instead of shooting it, a player throws this net at their opponents. This ninjutsu used to have an absolutely busted range and would somehow have a hitbox that extends very far behind it upon first activation, but this thankfully has been fixed over the course of Ninjala so far. However, you can't discredit this ninjutsu despite the nerf, because in the game currently, this is the only ninjutsu that causes an instant Ippon if a player is caught by it. All the while Tenshi Muyo is active at any time, even if it misses, it makes the user invincible for the ultimate's duration. So I mean, overall, this ninjutsu is still very strong. Along with that, this ninjutsu still has one of the fastest charge times in the game when it's on hammers as well. But that just about covers it for the overall gum kit of the Skate Hammer. So now we can get into some more specifics, starting with the special of the Skate Hammer, the Power Buster. Power Buster is a super armored AoE strike to the front, to the sides, and slightly above the player in sort of a cone-shaped pattern that has the ability to smash opponents' weapons. When activated, there is a long wind-up window before the attack is unleashed, but because you have super armor while using it, opponents who try to hit you during the wind-up will most likely end up being weapon broken instead. On top of that, after hitting an opponent with Power Buster, the user is guaranteed at least one follow-up attack, and this works even better when an opponent gets wall splatted by a Power Buster or the follow-up, because it allows hammers to continue their rather slow attacking combos. However, Power Buster does have one downside. The downside is that the activation time on the super armor itself is not instant. You cannot just spam the Y button and expect super armor to show up. Instead, it takes a few frames, usually around like 10 frames, for the super armor itself to activate. Time, of course, for some very skilled players to actually cancel your Power Buster and effectively make it useless. So, if you miss a Power Buster, or you get canceled out of Power Buster, it's not a very good thing. You want to make sure all your Power Busters count, especially because Power Buster also has a relatively long cooldown after use, so you doubly have to make sure that it counts when you use it. Another downside of Power Buster is that it functions much like a break attack in the game, which means you can't get a combo off it when exceeding too many extended hits. However, with the Gum Net and the Gum Grenade on the Sushi Axe, its sub-kit, they offer tremendous support in terms of landing gum bind combos off a Power Buster. And frankly, this kind of is just a free segue to talk about the Break Hammer's abilities, which, oddly enough, work with Power Buster and the bind combos relatively well. Hammers are shaping up to be a very scary weapon so far. So starting off on the abilities, we have probably the best, if not the second best standard ability in the game, Iron Body. Iron Body is a Break Hammer exclusive ability, and as I mentioned previously, works off bind combos because of what it actually does. As many players know, scoring an Ippon nets you quite a few points on the board for earning one, but with Iron Body, your benefits literally double, because after scoring an Ippon with a Break Hammer, at any point, your ninja will gain super armor for a short period of time. Not basic armor, super armor. Why is this good? Well, simply put, any attack you perform while in this armored state after an Ippon is uninterruptible by any other attack, with obviously the exception of ninjutsus, meaning that you can't be slowed or comboed due to a hit from other players in the game. Super armor honestly guarantees you a guaranteed counterattack because you just kind of shake it off. It never happened. The attack never happened. Forget it. It never happened. You see that guy over there? Yeah, that guy that is trying to hit you? Yeah, just let him hit you as much as you want while that super armor is active, because there is no way they are going to kill you before you get a counterattack off for that. However, of course, Iron Body, with the ability having super armor, does have one downside similar to the Power Buster's super armor, and while you can't necessarily be disrupted while in this super armored state, like I said, things like ninjutsu, ninjutsu attack, and gum damage, and taking any form of damage really still applies while in this armored state, so you do have to be careful around players who have ultimate abilities, and of course low health engagements, because you still take damage even while armored. And, well, the biggest thing to avoid if you are an armored hammer, those pesky insta-bind, wall shooting katanas. Nerf it, seriously. Too much of a crutch on katanas with those things. But let's be honest, you'll probably swat a katana anyway like a fly if they don't bind you, so, you know, trade-offs, I guess. But overall, I would say Iron Body Hat is an incredible ability and stands at the forefront for the crux of many good hammer players. The second ability, however, is also rather unique. You see, like other weapons in the game, break hammers do not have a big weapon exclusive ability. I mean, they do, just not in the normal sense. This ability, known as Hyper Boost, is actually a temporary boost to hammers. Hyper Boost activates anytime you craft a big weapon, and it increases movement speed for a short period of time upon creation of said big weapon. However, what makes this different from other big weapon abilities is that Hyper Boost activates any time you craft a big weapon. Meaning if you get weapon broken from another break hammer or a break attack, and then proceed to craft another big weapon provided you survive, you get another temporary speed boost. If you compare this to other weapon classes' big weapon abilities, you'll find that those other weapon classes' big weapon abilities are more so permanent boosts as long as the player has a big weapon. So you might be thinking this sounds like a downside and a disadvantage because it's only a temporary boost, right? Well, honestly, I'd have to disagree, because while hammers have slower movement speed normally, getting a speed boost with a big weapon crafted is actually a major benefit. This ability on the hammer also, believe it or not, stacks with speed boosting assist codes such as the ones on Starting Dash, Ninja Sense Pro, and even Stealing Hyena. And let me tell you, a speedy hammer is a dangerous hammer, and while Hyper Boost is active, it allows break hammers to be super aggressive. Not to mention that you can also have Hyper Boost and Iron Body activated at the exact same time, effectively making you the fastest and most destructive tool in the shed. No one will dare stand in your path with both abilities activated, but with that being said, you do have to be careful still of those pesky insta-bind combos. However, having both abilities active at the same time, or even just Hyper Boost, gives hammers a very good ability to enter any form of combat, or even go for drones. Of course, that will just about cover it for everything the SK8 Hammer has to offer in terms of its special abilities and gum kit, so let's move on to the Break Hammer's other kit, the Sushi Axe. For the most part, we only really need to go over the gum kit for the Sushi Axe, as weapons in the same classification will always have the same abilities and special available, until the devs of Ninjala decide to change that, but for now, official sources state that my statement is true. I don't really have much to talk about with the Sushi Axe here. The only thing I really have to talk about is the gum kit, as through all my other guides, which you should absolutely watch if you haven't already, have already kind of gone over the gum shoot and gum ninjutsu. So we've seen both the gum grenade and, of course, the ninja tornado. So for the most part, once again, they remain absolutely unchanged. Gum Grenade, once again, is a shot projectile that flies in an arcing path over a certain distance before exploding at the point of contact, dealing additional gum damage while it fragments. As a refresher, this is one of the gum shoots in the game that takes a while to get down, as there is an incredible amount of aim to nail this gum grenade, especially if you want this especially if you want to use this gum shoot at distance. However, on the Sushi Axe, gum grenade has a nice few Ippon confirms if you can land them correctly. The other thing to note with gum grenade that I don't think I really mentioned in my other guide is that gum grenade actually flies slower overall than gum net. It's actually one of the slowest gum shoots when it comes out in the game, so it's actually easier to avoid, making aiming the grenade all the more important. As for the gum tornado, well, on the Sushi Axe, this thing just wipes out everything, and I mean everything, in its path after you land a single successful back attack. Gum Tornado, or Ninja Tornado, deals a single hit of 250 damage to an opponent. On top of that, the Ninja Tornado is able to destroy any size drone with a single tap, effectively making this ninjutsu the most effective drone crusher. Don't forget as well that this is a controllable ultimate, allowing the player to move on their X and Y axes, but not the Z axes. So basically, you can move in every direction with Ninja Tornado except up and down. You are locked to your two-dimensional plane when the Ninja Tornado is activated. And as per usual with most ninjutsus, this ninjutsu is also fully invincible once active, so no one is going to be canceling it. The only downside to this ninjutsu is that it's very easy to avoid at distance, so try to use it off a hit confirmation, specifically a back attack or a gum bind, to guarantee that free Ippon. However, that will cover it for all the kits regarding the SK8 Hammer and the Sushi Axe, so in the next section, I'm going to show you the break hammers in action and pull off some pretty powerful combos. So let's head to the training range. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. This is always my favorite part of the video, because I can actually show off what the weapons can do. Now, of course, before I get into what the hammers can do, let me tell you something that I don't think a lot of people actually realize. Despite being one of the slowest weapons in the game, hammers are absolutely incredible when it comes to combative skill, because despite being the slowest weapon in the game, hammers get away with so much damage, and they can get all the Ippon combos with just the confirm of one single button. So other than just being used for droning, I feel like a good hammer player should also be aware of these combos as well, because they do have some very good offensive potential. Before I talk about any of the combos though, and before I talk about the button that sets up a lot of the combos, we need to talk about the hammer's normal attacks. Much like the trick ball classes of weapon, hammers have a very limited move pool when it comes to the actions they perform. Despite this, the hammers are extremely hard hitting, allowing you to basically 2 to 3 hit most weapons in the game except for your fellow hammer class. So starting off, of course, your normal ZR attacks are just a basic hammer swing that swings the hammer straight downward and, you know, pretty effective. You can repeat this swing as many times as you want as well. The animation for it will not change at all. It's a pretty standardized attack, and it's mainly used for securing KOs and, of course, hitting drones, which we will get to a little bit of some drone tech later. Of course, once the computer resets here, the back attack, also known as the left-right attack, is, of course, a very powerful attack. It's actually the hammer's most powerful attack, and your ninja will swing their hammer from the right to the left in a 360-degree motion. As I already stated, it is the most damaging attack that a break hammer has, and it can quickly be used to pummel drones through the use of jump cancels about halfway through the attacks. And just as an example, if you hit your back attack, jump here, and then swing another back attack, that is just a free drone right there. And you can see how effective it actually is at taking out drones with some basic jump cancels off of back attacks. So figured I'd show that, because that is what many hammer players use to actually break drones. However, another detail you will want to keep in mind is that this attack also gets the benefit of attack armor when used, meaning you can cancel out an enemy's attack and hit them with a counter. I will say, this is actually pretty useful if you're being harassed by another player and you just want to get them off of you, as the computer decides to absolutely smack me in the face about 20 times. There is a little bit of timing involved with that attack, so you do have to kind of predict your opponent's move before doing that, so it's kind of important. But moving on now, as for the wide attack, the final attack, if you press the down, it is known as the downwards or wide attack. If you use this attack, first your ninja will spin counterclockwise for a multi-hitting move, but then if you continue the wide attack and press it again, your ninja then will spin in the opposite direction, clockwise, and once again, this move does do some multi-hits. So that is super nice. The multi-hits are added on this attack to compensate for the attack's low damage. However, a lot of people don't know this, but there is one more attack hammers have for its basic moves. And you don't really see this being used very often by hammers. It is actually, believe it or not, the only teleport attack that hammers have in the game as well. To do this attack, you'll have to start with a wide attack on a drone or an opponent, and then, immediately following the finish of the wide attack, you combo into a back attack, aka the left-right attack. This move, of course, as you just saw, gives a devastating hammer uppercut that sets up a free combo, which I'm going to talk about very shortly. But that is the last basic thing you need to know of the hammer's basic attacks. So now, you know, let's talk combos. And believe me, oh man, these are some insane combos. For all these hammer combos, I am very pleased to let everyone know that both types of break hammers can perform these combos without having the need to swap weapons. So combos that work for one type of break hammer will indeed work on the other, which is pretty fantastic if you ask me. As I stated before, hammers don't get a lot of love when it comes to actual combat and are mainly used to focus drones, but come on, free Ippons and drones on a single weapon? Why wouldn't you want that? But I'm kind of getting a little bit ahead of myself here. Y'all want some combos, so I'm going to show you some combos. Starting off with a pretty basic combo that won't necessarily rely on an Ippon setup, but it's a guaranteed KO to any weapon, regardless of the weapon class your opponent is holding. So the combo is going to be as follows. You're going to start with a downward, you're going, of course, to start with a downward strike, your wide attack, followed by the teleportation left-right strike. you are going to then go into a normal attack, and then you do need to add one extra normal if you are against another hammer. Of course, this straight-to-the-point combo utilizes the damaging potential of the warp uppercut the break hammers have to guarantee a follow-up from a few normal strikes to secure a free KO. And, of course, as I mentioned in the combo, the extra ZR are used to KO other hammers, but, as you can see, I just KO'd an Iron Noise. And if you know anything about an Iron Noise, they are the 360 health monsters of Ninjala. So the fact that this basic combo is able to KO the Iron Noise, which has 360 health, is absolutely huge. What's very interesting though is that the combo I just showed also has a bind variant that is very tricky to pull off because it relies on the player's reaction time and ability to remember where the center of their screen is. Not only that, but players will find that this combo is much more consistent with the Gum Grenade over the Gum Grenade, mainly because Gum Grenade just comes out faster until, of course, you get Big Weapon, in which case Gum Grenade gets a bigger hitbox, making it easier to hit. Don't be discouraged, though. This combo does work if timed well with either weapon, and there are also ways to make this combo more consistent with Shinobi cards, but we'll be talking about that in the next section of the video. For now, the alternate version of the bind combo is going to be as follows. You're going to start with once again, the same two starting attack setups. You're going to start with the downward ZR attack, or your wide attack on hammers, that multi-hitting spin, followed by that teleportation left-right ZR. However, before I get into the next move for the combo, during this teleport ZR, you have to be rotating the camera to turn and face your opponent. If you do not do this, your camera will not be positioned in the right spot to initiate the gum bind portion of this combo. So it's very important to remember that you have to turn your camera completely around while this move is going off to guarantee this combo to work. Of course, following that, after the teleportation strike, you are going to jump cancel into your gum shoot, and then you're going to hit them. Provided your gum shoot hits, you're going to hit them once with ZR, and of course, as per usual, twice if they are carrying a hammer, and this should guarantee an Ippon if you pull it off correctly. I'm sure you can see why this combo would be a bit harder to pull off, but you as the player, as I said, not only have to remember where the middle of your screen is, but you have to, once again, rotate your camera 180 degrees to nail your opponent with that gum shot to get the guaranteed Ippon follow-up. It is very tricky to use, and I do recommend people go in and practice this in training range. Sometimes what I like to do with this combo to make it easier as well is I like to actually start rotating my camera all the way around as the wide attack is coming out, because it actually makes consistency for this a little bit easier as well. As you can see, I've been able to kind of just, while I've been rambling on, pull that off easily twice in a row by rotating the camera a little bit earlier. So, very fun combo, guaranteed Ippon, and it works either with small weapon or big weapon on any weapon class in the game. On to our third combo now. This combo is going to utilize, as Gigi likes to call, the Break Hammer's BONK attack to, of course, combo, once again, into an Ippon. This combo utilizes a gum shoot of either Break Hammer as well to score that Ippon as per usual, but bear in mind this combo is more effective with a big weapon, but you can still score the Ippon with small weapon as well. And by more effective with big weapon, it's mainly because of the Gum Grenade's larger hitbox as well. The combo, of course, is as follows. You're going to start with the Y button, of course, the Power Buster, followed immediately into a jump cancel gum shoot. So you're going to have to do this in very quick succession. You're going to follow that gum shoot, of course, up with a back attack, which is going to be your left-right ZR, and then you're going to finish with ZR. This will KO a hammer regardless of what happens. It will also KO any other weapon. It also is guaranteed to KO Iron Noise as well. This combo is just absolutely brutal, and if it hits, I mean, your opponent is gone. Now, I already stated this before, but it's very important to note that after you use a hammer's Power Buster, you are only allowed 2 follow-up hits before your opponent gets sent flying. These follow-up hits can come from normals or a single back attack as well, so you do have to be aware that if you screw this combo up, you are going to send your opponent flying. However, because we added a gum shoot into the middle of this combo, it's actually guaranteed to hit your opponent here, and you should be able to hit your opponent with follow-up strikes for that Ippon. Another thing I'd also kind of like to note is if you notice while this combo goes off, your opponent isn't necessarily trapped in the net right away, but they are still taking enough gum damage to take that Ippon. Because they're in the net just as you land, they get bound essentially as that last hit lands, so it still counts actually as an Ippon, which is super, super nice. Now for our fourth combo here, that's right, I have more than 4 combos for the hammer. We're going to take a look at the Break Hammer's back attack once again, this swing right here, and this time we're actually going to use the counter hit of this hammer to follow up with a combo, meaning for this combo to work, once again, you will have to predict your opponents and attack with the counter, putting them to the wall faster than, of course, you can pound a nail into a shingle, or, you know what, these are bad hammer puns, I just need to stop. But, enough of that. Let's actually get on to the combo's description here. So, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to have to predict your opponent's swing with the back attack left-right ZR counter. What you're going to do then after that, though, is you're going to kind of surprise your opponent a little bit and hit them with the Power Buster. Now, you might be wondering, why the heck are you hitting them with a Power Buster here? Well, I'll explain once the combo's over, but this is going to be basically a counter into a free break, and then, as per usual, what you're going to do, you're going to jump cancel into a gum shoot, and then finally finish them off with your normal swing. Notice that that combo is actually not an 100% true Ippon combo. That's because this combo relies more on your opponent's over-aggression and striking you again after you've just countered them to hit them with the surprise weapon break, which can indeed be followed up for a bind. However, this combo is a guaranteed Ippon when you have the proper Shinobi card equipped out of this combo as well, which I will be talking about in a little bit. The thing with this combo as well is it is rather tough to always get the Ippon off this combo unless you have a big weapon, and big weapons usually make Ippon combos easier because you have the bigger gum net or a bigger gum grenade. So just bear in mind that a bigger weapon is probably more effective for that counter combo. For our final combo now, I'm going to show you just an absolutely insulting ninjutsu combo. It's super short, it's just for style, and honestly you could probably taunt anybody after this combo, and the combo is it's very simple. You're going to start off with a weapon break into a normal strike, then you're going to jump cancel into your ninjutsu. I mean, come on. Come on. Breaking their weapon just to hit them again, the jump cancel, and then just the ninjutsu. It's the easiest Ippon of your life. It's the easiest Ippon of your life. But with that being said, that just about covers everything here in the combo section of the video. So in the next section, I'm going to be talking about the Shinobi cards, the weaknesses of the weapon, and of course, the final wrap up. Break hammers to this day are still probably one of the most utilized weapons in the game, and because of it, it's honestly pretty tough to think of any major weaknesses besides the hammer's movement speed, which even then isn't that big of a deal because it can be countered with a couple Shinobi cards and abilities. The only other thing I'd really say that counts as a weakness to the hammer is that you still take damage, of course, while you're in that armored state, so, you know, low health break hammers aren't necessarily advised to enter engagements. However, both hammer kits, as I previously stated, are super solid, and it works great as a droner or even dealing out heavy combat damage. The hammers can literally do it all. So what about adding even more benefits to the hammer? Well, that of course comes in the form of Shinobi cards. And for break hammers, there are some you always want to use, and others you can get away with not using. For starters, I'm gonna say it again. I'm gonna say it again. Starting dash. With the added movement speed assist code, so that is actually assist code number 1. I don't need to explain why at this point. Just do it. It's the creme de la creme of Shinobi cards. It's just, you have to run it. Other than starting dash, I would also say the break hammers benefit from running a card simply known as Utsutsemi Master, which I am absolutely horrible at using, but this card is in the hands of better players who can use Utsutemi Master besides me. You can get very easy binds with assist codes number 1 and 2 on Utsutemi Master, which increases the explosion range and, of course, increases the gum damage with the Utsu's explosion. Another great Shinobi card you can also run on hammers is known as Ninja Sense Pro, with assist code number 2 and 1 if you have the space. So that basically will allow you to see players who are coming from behind you at longer distances, and of course increase your speed when no other player is behind you. So that is also a super clean code that also adds to the hammer's movement speed. I've also seen some other hammers run one of the new Shinobi cards of the season right here, known as Gum Boost. I'm sorry, Gum Boost, or GBI. We call it GDI, Gum Dash Impact, but it's actually Gum Boost Impact. I've seen a lot of players be able to use this to a decent effect as well. It's a great tool to keep people off of you, and it also sets up with Utsutemi Master combos. However, as I kind of mentioned in the combo section, there's one particular Shinobi card that really benefits the Break Hammer's combos, and that card, I've mentioned it before, is Stealing Hyena. More specifically, assist code 3 on Stealing Hyena, but you could get away with running all 3 assist codes on Stealing Hyena. But the reason assist code 3 is so good on Stealing Hyena is because it increases gum damage against opponents with low health. You can probably see, you can probably understand and see why this is effective, right? You have some insanely hard-hitting moves on hammers, and adding gum damage becomes a more, basically adding gum damage with basic attack heavy damage, you become more and more effective at binding an opponent. So if you want some insane Ippon numbers, if you feel like playing a combat hammer, this is the code you need to run. But overall, I'd honestly just run gum damage plus Stealing Hyena anyway. You can get away with assist codes 1, 2, and 3. But personally, I like to play hammer with assist code 2 and assist code 3 if you are going to be running Stealing Hyena. Overall, I would say hammers are still a force to be reckoned with in Ninjala. And while I know I am not the greatest hammer player in the world, I always love diving in and learning, you know, the ins and outs of every weapon to then share to everyone what I've learned along the way. And, you know, sure, while hammers have a droning playstyle, and that's really not my thing, it never hurts to try out hammers as a combat weapon either. You never know. You may actually enjoy it, and believe me, I'm starting to. But with that being said, that just about covers everything I wanted to talk about for the Break Hammer Weapon Guide. So, of course, as always, I want to thank you all for watching the video. And I want to thank everybody, you know, who helped me actually put this video together with doing some tech and making sure that these combos work. So I have to kind of give shout-outs to, you know, Gigi. I got to give shout-outs to Jetix, Jbed, and Starling for really helping me out to put this video together. And honestly, we found some new tech that Starling and I are going to keep rather quiet right now because it's very, very effective, and we're going to kind of keep that to ourselves right now. Maybe I'll tell people about it in the near future, but for now, I think I'm going to keep the tech we found while practicing some hammer stuff, you know, a little bit secret. And no, it has nothing to do with the hammer itself. It has, it's more to do, I will give you a hint and say it's more to do with movement stuff that you can do, so I will, I'm going to keep that on the down low for now. But, of course, if you enjoyed the video, do me a huge favor and hit that like button while also hitting that subscribe button at the same time, because it would mean a lot to me if you guys actually did it both. And, of course, you know, you should do it anyways if you want to see more Ninjala and Nintendo content here on the channel. But, other than that, before I go over and thank my donors over there on Patreon, I just want to take a moment at the end of this video and thank you all recently for the massive support on the channel. We just recently hit 2,000 subscribers, and hitting 2,000 for me this year was such a big deal. It meant the world to me if we did it, and we did it before the end of the year. So I just have to say, like, thank you guys seriously for enjoying the content. Thank you guys for supporting the content, and thank you guys for just being an awesome community, you know, around not only myself and my friends, but of course the content here on the channel. But I don't want to drone on too long here. So without further ado, before I go, I do have to give a shout out to all my donators over there on Patreon, MickeyPhorGens, Thomas, and Styleno for their continued support to the channel. And as always, until then, this is CAJ Man 777 signing off. Stay safe, everybody.